Hello everyone, I am the storyteller and I am here to help you today. I know you use this video to fall asleep, so before that, like the video and subscribe to the channel. Also, where are you from and what time are you watching? Now, get comfortable and relax. The echoing past. When the Carter family moved into the rental home on the edge of town, they had no idea they were stepping into a cycle of horror that had claimed the lives of the previous tenants. The house, though old, was charming. It had the kind of picturesque appeal that drew people in, nestled among towering trees, with a worn but welcoming facade. The family, Matt, Sarah, their teenage daughter Lucy, and their younger son Josh, were eager to leave behind the bustle of city life and start fresh in a quieter setting. The moment they stepped inside, they were struck by how cozy the house felt. It was a far cry from the cramped apartment they'd left behind, and Matt was quick to admire how spacious and serene everything seemed. But Sarah couldn't shake a nagging feeling, a sense of unease she couldn't quite place. The house felt too perfect, too pristine for a place that had been vacant for so long. When she mentioned it, Matt shrugged it off, laughing it off as her typical overthinking. They spent their first night settling in, trying to make the house feel like home. But as night fell, the creaking of the floorboards and the strange noises in the walls made Sarah feel like something was watching her. The first oddity came when the lights flickered, and the house seemed to groan with age, as if it were waking from some long slumber. Sarah excused herself to check the fuse box, but was met by an eerie silence as she ascended the narrow staircase. Just as she reached the top, she heard a soft thud coming from the attic. A dull, rhythmic thumping, almost like footsteps. She brushed it off as a trick of the mind, blaming it on the house settling, but it wasn't long before she began hearing it more often. Those same creaks, those same footsteps, no matter where she was in the house. One evening, Sarah was alone in the kitchen trying to unwind from the day when suddenly the door to the attic slammed shut with a force that echoed through the hallway. It was the kind of sound that made her blood run cold, a noise that wasn't easily explained away. The next morning, it seemed like nothing had happened at all. They went through their morning routine like any other family. Coffee brewing, cereal being poured, the soft hum of the refrigerator. But as Sarah stepped into the living room, she noticed something strange. A photo frame had fallen from the wall and landed face down. She hadn't remembered hearing it fall. A cold chill ran up her spine, and she hesitated before picking it up. The picture was of the family who had lived here before, the Winstons. Their smiles were almost too wide, their eyes a little too bright, as if they were trying to convince themselves of something. As the days passed, more strange occurrences piled up, subtle at first, but impossible to ignore. The light would flicker in the same pattern, and the eerie footsteps in the attic became a constant presence. Sarah noticed that even the smallest details started repeating themselves, things that shouldn't have been possible. One morning, she found herself waking up in the same clothes she had worn the day before, as if she had never changed. The same conversation happened over breakfast, and when she stepped outside, she could have sworn the scenery hadn't changed. A sickening feeling washed over her as she realized what was happening. She had lived the same day twice without knowing it, each moment unfolding exactly as it had the day before. Each time they left the house and returned, everything was the same. Furniture in the same places, the same song playing on the radio, the same broken picture frame lying face down on the floor. In desperation, Sarah dug into the history of the house. What she found was horrifying. The Winstons, the family in the photograph, had lived there just a year before. They had been a happy family until they vanished without a trace. Neighbors reported hearing strange noises from the house, much like the ones Sarah had experienced, but no one ever saw them again. The house was left empty, the doors locked, and no one had been able to explain their disappearance. As Sarah dug deeper, she found a series of cryptic journal entries written by the mother of the Winston family. The entries spoke of a choice that the Winstons had failed to make, one that had ultimately led to their doom. The final entry read, There is a way to stop it, but it will cost more than we are willing to pay. Realizing they were trapped in the same cycle, reliving the same day over and over, Sarah shared her findings with Matt, her voice trembling. He didn't believe her at first, dismissing it as stress or paranoia, but she could see the fear in his eyes as he began to notice the same patterns. The house was a prison, and the only way out was to make the choice that the Winstons had refused to make. But what choice? The journal offered no clear answers, only a vague warning. In the dead of night, Sarah found herself standing in the kitchen, holding a knife, staring down at the family. There was no escaping the truth. Someone had to die for the cycle to break. The Winstons had never made the sacrifice, and now their fate was inevitable. She turned to Matt, Lucy, and Josh, her heart breaking as she raised the knife. "We have to make the choice, or we'll be stuck here forever. One of us has to be the one to end this," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "It's the only way." Lucy, her teenage daughter, screamed in protest, but Sarah's gaze remained steady. The house seemed to respond to her resolve. The wind outside howled, the lights flickered, and the oppressive silence of the house deepened. Sarah took a deep breath, her hands shaking, and for the briefest moment, she hesitated. Was this really the answer? Suddenly, the door slammed shut on its own. The temperature dropped, and a voice, soft and faint, whispered from nowhere. "Don't do it, it's too late." Sarah froze, the knife trembling in her grip. The house seemed to be alive, a malevolent force pushing them toward a decision they didn't fully understand. Was there another way? Or was this really the only path to freedom? With the whispering voice lingering in her ears, Sarah knew that she had reached a point of no return. To break the cycle, the choice had to be made. But at what cost? Would she sacrifice her family to escape? Or would she condemn them all to live out this nightmare? Forever. The air grew thick with tension, and as Sarah raised the knife once more, she realized she was no longer sure of what was real or what was just another echo of the past. The house had claimed so many before them, and now it was waiting for the final decision.